Chapter 64. League of... Summary. With the proven existence of aliens, things veer off course for our favorite band of criminals. Dabi collapsed into the League's couch with an oof, slowly sinking into its soft cushions. He watched with heavy-lidded eyes as a dripping wet Shigaraki slouched onto a bar stool, glaring daggers at a water-damaged spot on the wall as he proceeded to give the floor underneath him water damage. "Well, that went well," Dabi sarcastically drawled. Shigaraki scowled. "Shut up!" "No, I mean it," Dabi continued with a smirk. "We really showed the Joe gang who makes the rules around here."
"How was I supposed to know that a gang consisting of NPCs named Joe would be so high level?"
"Or that they would yell out Joe Mama jokes when they pushed you off that pier."
"I told you not to mention that!"
Dabi scoffed. "Since when do I listen to anything you say?" The stool clattered on the ground as Shigaraki stood up, ready to pounce. But, like he often does, Kurogiri showed up just at that moment. He didn't like cleaning up dust or fire from his new bar. "Calm yourself, Tomura," the misty bartender scolded, gliding between him and the fuming Shigaraki. "This is just a setback. We will finish the job when the rest of the League gets back." He hesitated for a moment, but eventually, Shigaraki sat back down, on a still-standing stool, with a wet plop. "Oh, yeah," Dabi said, voice still a little extra husky from laughing. "The only ones still out today are Toga and Twice, right?" "Yes," Kurogiri replied. "Compress and Spinner already pawned off everything they stole from Endeavor. Oddly enough, the youngest Todoroki helped them out when he spotted them sneaking in." Dabi couldn't tell whether he wanted to snort or scowl at this. He'd vehemently refused a place on the Rob the Number One Hero mission when they came up with the idea last week. There was no way in hell he would willingly step foot back in that house, even to rob the bastard. Dabi had too many emotions wrapped up in that place, ones he'd prefer to ignore. The fact that Shoto seemingly helped the others rob his father did nothing to help the warring emotions he feels. He wants to hate Endeavor's little masterpiece, but he can't. Not only is the kid his little brother, one he watched grow up in that horrible house, but he keeps doing shit like this. The reason they had chosen Endeavor to rob now, that they'd temporarily switched focus from destroying society to helping Earth not get taken over by aliens. Fuck those aliens, the only ones destroying the world, as they know it, was them. Was that, despite being the number one hero, Endeavor hadn't willingly donated a cent to GEED, the Global Extraplanetary Exploration and Defense Program. Even they had donated. Sure, it wasn't their money, and instead the money of whatever rich fuck they decided had it coming that week. But still, it took effort robbing people. But, well, Dabi said Endeavor hadn't donated willingly because a few weeks into the start of the global effort, Shoto donated a boatload of money by sending off some things of Endeavor's, like his original hero costume, to be auctioned off for the fund. The man fumed for weeks, and Dabi had enjoyed every single second of it. It seemed so long ago now. 5 whole months had passed since the whole "aliens are real and out to get us" reveal, and things were finally settled down. Though it had taken the League quite a lot longer than the rest of Japan to find their new place in the world. Without Shigaraki's sensei around, they'd already been lost, but add in the threat of an impending alien invasion, because he's seen alien invasion movies, it's going to happen. Yeah, they'd had no idea how to react. Suddenly, their whole goal went from improbable to irrelevant. There was no point in destroying society when aliens might come along and destroy things. Sure, Dabi still wanted to burn Japan to the ground and dance on his father's ashes, but he's sure as hell not going to let some random aliens use that to take over the world. Eventually, the League found their new focus. They decided last month, with some help from Kurogiri, to temporarily shift their goal to do whatever they could to make sure any aliens that came around would get the full human effect of fuck around and find out. This half consisted of robbing whoever wasn't contributing enough and donating it themselves, and half reducing the crime rate. Why would they reduce the crime rate when they were literally villains? Well, crime, especially which resulted in property damage, took away money that could be donated. After all, they can only rob so many people. Whether it was taking care of a gang before some hero could come along and destroy half a city block catching them, or making sure the streets were safer so families could decide that donating was more valuable than buying a new security system, they helped to do it. Dabi didn't understand most of how it worked. Considering he never finished school, that was understandable. But he trusted Compress, Spinner, and Kurogiri's plan, especially considering seemed to be working so far. Since they started, donations had gone up noticeably in Japan. Progress was exponential now that the whole world was united against a common enemy. And didn't that just warm Dabi's shriveled heart? A chime sounded from Kurogiri's phone, and after a quick glance, the misty man opened a portal. Out poured Toga and Twice, blood splattered decorating their clothes. They both had an extra skip in their steps. "How did things go?" Kurogiri calmly questioned. Toga squealed. "Great! There was this super cute thug with blue hair." She licked some excess blood off her knife, and Dabi could guess what happened to her latest crush. "Did you get everyone else?" Dabi asked. Toga and Twice were definitely the most mentally unstable in the group, meaning they got distracted sometimes. Overall, they were reliable. They wouldn't have been in the League in the first place if they weren't. But it didn't hurt to double-check. "Don't worry," Twice enthused. "We took care of them. They nearly killed us."
Good,
Shigaraki huffed, getting up from his stool.
We've got some unfinished business to take care of.
He made a move to scratch his neck, but a quick flick on the forehead from Twice stopped him. The others had taken it upon themselves to finally break Krusty's bad habit, and it was a hard goal to achieve. He'd thrown multiple fits at first, but had given in to Toga's knife-assisted tenacity. "Sure, but why are you wet?"
You look like a drowned fish!
Shigaraki glared at the dual man as Kurogiri said, "I think the phrase is drowned cat, but nonetheless, we should get moving. Will someone fetch Mr. Compress and Spinner?"
On it!
Toga grinned, skipping down the halls to their rooms. Dabi stood up, stretching his back with a loud crack. "Time to show the Joe gang who's boss. Right, boss?" He only laughed as Shigaraki seethed, and Kurogiri gave him the most done look. Things weren't so different, even with the knowledge that aliens were scurrying around in space. Their goals might have changed, but the people around him were the same as ever. Still a gang of misfit criminals that somehow found their way to each other. Dabi shook all the sappy feelings off as he followed the League through the warp gate, letting the cool mist wash over him. Fire blazed to life in his palms as they emerged into a decrepit alley, lighting the coming dusk. Beside him, knives and swords glinted in the blue blaze, while cloaks swished in the light breeze. "Hey, Joes!" Dabi shouted at the lounging gang, their attention turning to him. "I've been told by people I light up a room." He stalked forward, flames bathing his face in warped shadows. "According to the police, it's called arson, and those people are witnesses. I'm not really feeling like leaving any witnesses today." Above the chorus of screams, he heard Kurogiri let out a disappointed sigh. "Hey!" Dabi rasped. I couldn't think of any arson-related Yo Mama jokes, so I did my best. Kurogiri just sighed deeper.